Hey, old dude, what are you doing here, man?
Beware. The words.
The words?
Contagious words. Those who dream.
Those who dream?
Hold a moment. There is a strange new sensation in my mind.
Vice's voice rose in a quizzical way.
Not quizzical.
What?
What's going on?
The villager's body shuddered as he slowly opened his eyes.
Perhaps we should start by asking this man.
Who are you?
We heard something happened to this village, so we came to see if we could help.
The mayor stared at YandereDev and Vice.
If you can speak to me, I must have caught you in my dream.
In your dream?
The mayor explained. In the past weeks, a mysterious disease called the Death Dream had spread across the Forest of Myth. Those who caught it were cursed to fall asleep and live forever within the world of their own dreams. The village mayor had determined the Death Dream was spread from person to person by spoken words, but before he could learn more, the disease took him as well. Vice stared at the mayor, his mouth twitching
Now
slightly.
see here. Are you saying that we have been absorbed into your dream?
Well, yes.
Said the mayor.
I think you have.
In other words,
Said YandereDev.
caught the death dream?
Before the mayor could confirm YandereDev's suspicion, Vice exploded with rage.
Ridiculous. Preposterous. Completely unfathomable on every conceivable level. I don't even recall falling asleep.
That's just how the death dream works.
Though polite, the mayor was clearly trying to brush aside the book's
My
remarks.
remarks are not to be brushed aside, fool.
The mayor twisted his mouth into an embarrassed grimace, then quickly changed the subject to who YandereDev had seen and what they had discussed since coming to the village.
Something there must have caused you to enter my dream. A certain conversation, a specific word, something.
YandereDev and Vice racked their brains but could find no easy solutions. There were simply too many words to consider, too much random chatter, too many meaningless conversations.
Grimoire Vice does not engage in meaningless conversations.
The mere suggestion that Vice chose his words carelessly seemed to sting his pride.
It does not seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of a narrator.
God, I love that.
It has demolished it utterly.
Irritated, Vice looked skyward, as if searching for answers in the heavens.
I was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already.
The anger created by his harsh words bled over to YandereDev like a contagion. Oh, here we go. Wait, said YandereDev suddenly. Did someone just say contagion? Yes, I believe so. What of it? Well, that villager told us to watch out for contagious words, right? The mayor leaned forward with renewed interest, pushing a startled Weiss aside in the process. He must have said something, right? Asked the mayor. Some specific combination of words. What was it? It was about dreaming, or something that dreams, or... Oh, what the hell was it? A sheep? Cried Weiss suddenly, blurting out the first thing that popped into his head. The others stared at him for a moment before slowly shaking their heads. After a few minutes of thought, YandereDev's face suddenly lit up. I remember, he said. Those who dream. That's what he said. I'm sure of it. At this, the mayor produced a thick sheaf of papers from his pocket. He flipped through them a few times before finally nodding disapproval at YandereDev. That sounds right, he said, as a stray sheet of paper fluttered to the ground. My notes also mentioned something about that. I bet it was the last thing you heard before you fell asleep. The mayor shook his head, his worn pencil stub tracing lines across a lone piece of paper. For the last month, I've done nothing but study the disease we call the death dream, he said. I mean, I'm the mayor, right? It's my job to protect people from whatever comes along, but I never expected a couple of outsiders to start entering people's dreams. The mayor paused, a grimace crossing his face. I should probably be taking notes or something. Vice immediately fired back. I applaud the force of will it takes to research a disease in your dreams, he said, but perhaps we should bend your efforts to escaping this place instead of trying to understand it. The mayor's hand tightened around his pencil, snapping off the tip. I've tried to escape. From the very first moment I realized I was locked inside my own dream, I've been looking for a way out, but I don't think it exists. I mean, this is my dream, right? If there was an exit, I'd know about it. He paused for a moment, his unfocused eyes staring at nothing. My village was beautiful, he said to no one in particular, and it was filled with the most wonderful people you could ever hope to meet. But once this disease took hold, things changed. It's like someone took a sponge and soaked all the color out of our lives. I just want us to be whole again. I want us to be free. And I won't stop trying until it happens. YandereDev nodded in agreement. Huh? Wait a second. I didn't nod. Look, if we can be of any help, said YandereDev, just ask. Now, hold on. I did not just say that. Silence, cried Vice. The grimoire looked from YandereDev to the mayor and back again, and his face filling with confidence. Grimoire Vice's face is always confident, thank you very much. Now see here, Mayor, you told us that nothing can exist in this dream without your knowing of it. But yet you seemed surprised to see us when we first arrived, yes? The mayor slowly raised his head, realization dawning on his face. Oh my God, he said, you're right. I had no idea you were coming. The human imagination is a limitless engine, said Vice, and dreams are the fuel. If you can imagine an exit, then it must be so. With your permission, we shall search it out. Thank you, said the mayor. I don't know how I can repay you. Payment is not required. We are as eager as you to be done with this place. The mayor suddenly felt as if he could breathe again. He'd almost forgotten what it was like. Good luck, you two, he called out at the departing forms of YandereDev and Vice. We're all counting on you. Where's Kaine? As YandereDev slowly faded into the misty forest, the mayor was struck by a sense of déjà vu. I saw this man once before, he thought. But where? YandereDev's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours earlier, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he'd been confident they could get in, find the exit, and be home in time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more the forest closed in around him. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction, and moss-covered rocks seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once he'd been forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left small trails of blood on everything he touched. Additionally, Vice was proving to be a spectacularly poor traveling companion. Unhindered by either terrain or physical effort, he spent most of his time urging YandereDev to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. That sounds familiar. Finally, after Vice muttered something about legless turtles being more adept at navigating the environment, YandereDev snapped. Okay, Vice, cram it for a second, would you? You don't have to walk. YandereDev leaned against a tree and tried to stretch the knots from his back. How can this stupid forest be so big? He muttered to himself. The moment the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life. Every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared out at a volume that rattled his teeth. YandereDev slapped his hands over his ears and screamed to be heard. Vice, what's going on? YandereDev could see Vice's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insects screamed, the forest howled, and then, just as YandereDev's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and go running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, he removed the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the woods. Zree, 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 zree. Shak-a-ka-ka-ka-ka-ka. 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 Ka-ka-kee, ka-ka-kee, ka-ka-kee. Uma. Uma. Shik, shik, shik. Shik, 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 shik. As the insect... As the insect symphony dimmed another decibel, YandereDev began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise. It's something else. The insects weren't just calling out, they were asking a question. 1 with it is lacking. 2 with it is ideal. 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. 1 with it is lacking, 2 with it is ideal, 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? Secret? 1 with a secret? 2 with a secret? No, if you have 3 people with a secret, it's not a secret anymore. It's only a secret when 1 person has it. A seesaw? If there's 1 person on a seesaw, then it's lacking. But if there's 2 people on a seesaw, it's perfect. 3 people on a seesaw, what the hell? Someone's gonna fall off. A seesaw? A seesaw? 2 people can't have a secret. 3 people with a secret is just as dangerous as 2 people with a secret. If 1 person has a secret, that's the ideal number. As long as 2 people have it, it's no longer a secret. It's now someone's information. It's seesaw! Something that's ideal with 2 people, but dangerous with 3. Oh, it's a seesaw! Vice's mouth flew open, but before he could say anything, the world suddenly shifted. Rin rin wah! Rin rin wah! Shik shiki! Shik shiki! When YandereDev came to, he was once again surrounded by the sounds of insects. The cries of the insects were creating words. Words he had heard somewhere before. 1 with it is lacking, 2 with it is ideal, 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? Oh, here we go again. Fine, it's a fucking secret. Inwardly furious that Vice left the task to him, YandereDev sighed and gave the only answer that made sense. It's a secret. Right? The sound of the insects stopped as suddenly as it began. The forest undergrowth parted before YandereDev like a rippling wave, opening a new path. These forest anthropods are making a road for us, said Vice with glee. Pleased at passing the test, YandereDev moved on with new intensity. The path offered his body relief from the undergrowth, but gave even greater cheer to his mind. As long as they were on a path, their journey had purpose. I guess the forest has accepted us, huh? Said YandereDev after a bit. Vice spun around to face his companion. Do not mistake the will of this forest for some happy pet you can suddenly befriend. We have no idea where this path leads. As Vice finished speaking, the pair turned a corner and found themselves facing a clear forest spring. Smiling, YandereDev picked up a small rock and sent it skipping across the surface of the water. Good heavens, said Vice. His surprise was understandable. Each time the rock struck the surface of the water, a musical note rang out. When the rock finally stopped moving and sank to the bottom of the spring, the ripples it left behind came together to form words. I enter through the window, but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? It's sunlight! Absurdly easy, barked Weiss. Now answer it. YandereDev grit his teeth and tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right after all, this one is pretty easy. Enter through the window, but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? A bird. A ladder. Sunlight. A plume of water suddenly burst forth from the spring. Sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Vice softly, I have never seen such a sight. Perhaps I have misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey look, cried YandereDev, awakening Vice from his daze. There's a house or something over there. Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Vice saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Vice? I mean, who would build a house all the way out here? YandereDev walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging... Oh, damn. Sounds like me with 2B. The door cracked open and a small man peered out. His body was cloaked from neck to toe in a large black cape, while his face was obscured by mist. Began YandereDev, but before he could get any further, the cloaked man held up a hand and began speaking. I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? Oh, it's the oldest riddle ever. YandereDev tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing there, but he simply repeated the question. If we wish to engage this man in conversation, said Vice, it seems we must answer his riddle. Yeah, I suppose so, said YandereDev. Well, at least it's an easy one. 4 legs in the morning, 2 at noon. Nighttime it's 3. It's a demon! An angel! No, it's a man! The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as he spoke a single word. Correct. With that, the man flung his garment aside, revealing his true identity. You're the mayor! Cried YandereDev. The small man slowly shook his head. I'm not the mayor you know. Now listen to my words. Long ago, I saw a version of you that was not yourself. Sorry? What does that mean? It will make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the death dream. Now you must go to the person at the forest entrance. With that, the man turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him. As YandereDev watched, mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. When YandereDev and Vice returned to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught sight of the duo, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he cried. You made it. You actually made it back. His left hand grasped YandereDev's and pumped it so fiercely it threatened to dislodge from the socket, while his right seized Vice by the cover and swung him through the air. Gah! By the heavens, stop shaking me, fool! We have not even told you if we were successful or not. The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. YandereDev withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a slight smile. We broke the Death Dream seal, he said. At least, I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as YandereDev filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the 3 of them laid down on the forest ground and fell asleep. YandereDev cocked his head. Okay, hang on a second. This is crazy. Why would we just lay down and go to sleep? Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. YandereDev and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten, continued Vice, it is words that control the death dream, words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the words tell us to sleep, then sleep we shall. And once we do, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breath slowing. This is the first time, began the mayor, the first time I felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a long, loud yawn, and he remembered nothing more. They might have slept for an hour, or a year. When they awoke, things had a slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, the leaves greener. It was clear that they had awakened from their dream. YandereDev shook the mayor's shoulder gently. Good news, he said. I think we made it. Oh wow, said the mayor in an awed voice. We did it. I'm back. He blinked once and then again, as if not quite believing the sight before him. You two have no idea how much this means. The death dream was spreading through our village, and I wanted to, well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it, but I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream. The mayor started to stand, then collapsed back to the earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at YandereDev and shrugged. Without a word, the young man reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. Real life may take some getting used to, said the mayor with a wry smile across his lips. You shall relearn in short order, I am sure, said Vice. For now, you should return to your home and rest. No, said the mayor, swaying on unsteady feet. No, I cannot. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the death dream. I have to save them. The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village, then bowed his head and prayed silently. This is a holy tree, he explained when the prayer was finished. It's the guardian of our village's history and memories. Superstition will only make our mission harder, muttered Vice. We should not put our faith in the gods. The mayor shook his head. Not the gods, the words. Legend says that our tree is home to a powerful magic known as a sealed verse. YandereDev and Vice could not contain their surprise. It seemed a goal had been found in the most unexpected of places. I say, muttered Vice, this is certainly a stroke of luck. As the 3 of them said their goodbyes, YandereDev mentioned the strange man who had given them the 3rd riddle and the mysterious words he had left them with. I once saw a version of you that was not yourself, muttered the mayor. What in the world does that mean? Lost in thought, he stared into space for a long moment. You know, he said softly, this is gonna sound odd, but I had a feeling I'd seen you before too. YandereDev tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure it's just some kind of illusion created by the Death Dream. Probably doesn't mean anything. YandereDev gave the mayor a nod and a smile, but inwardly, his thoughts were racing. Something wrong about the mayor and his words. What exactly is going on here? That riddle would prove to be the most difficult one of all.
Oh, thank you so much. Now I can finally return to a normal life.
This is one of the most bizarre diseases I have ever encountered.
I know. That's why we have to help the other villagers, no matter what.